Can you still hear me? Alright, good deal. No, you're fine. Hey, what's up everybody? This is Kelson and Cody Vols 2331. I'm going to be doing a gameplay stream for Reddit here. I'm going to back out of the practice mode, trying to get my tempo in line before I come on here and embarrass myself. But let me just check one thing real quick, make sure I've got the stream name set up correctly. I always have a bad habit of... And we are correct. Good. So I'm getting better at that at least. Get back into the regular home page. Now, I think one of the first things that I'm going to discuss is I've had several questions about setting up the golf bag. So let's go in first thing, and if I can remember how to get there. No, that's not the right spot. You can tell how much I don't mess with my... Where do I go to, Kelson, to look at my golf clubs? It is under player, my player, isn't it? My player. There we go. So, my golf bag. There I am. So, obviously, my theory on playing this game is let the long clubs be the long clubs. Let your precision clubs be precise, and then just pick something in between. That's kind of the way that I've got everything set up. Obviously, pretty much everybody that I know that plays on TGC tours or societies or friends that I play with, they go ahead and use the longest driver on the game. This is the Bridgestone driver and the longest 3-wood on the game, and just do the best they can with them. Now, I noticed talking to a lot of people that there's large gaps set up in some of your all's clubs. If you look over at mine, I go a nice, pretty much an even transition all the way up to the 4 hybrid and the 3-wood. The reason for that is there's not a ton of shots that I'm seeing from around 230 yards. Sure, there's some, but I'm hitting my irons on almost every single hole, or a wedge on every single hole. So I've kind of got things set up that way. This is going to vary just a little bit based on what type do you play. Do you play semi-pro or pro? If that's the case, then maybe the gaps in your club don't matter as much, because you don't have to worry about trying to hit 90% swings and stoppings on a certain spot. But if you're somebody that is wanting to maybe look at playing on TGC tours or the money tour with some of the better players and improving your game that way, then I think it's very important that you set up your clubs in a similar manner. It doesn't have to be the same clubs, but I'm using all of the Callaway irons. I can't remember which one it is. Let me click in here right quickly and look. So it looks like the Maverick Pro, or that's the irons that I'm using. The wedges are also Callaway. I'm sure there's some other variations. These are just the Jaws wedge, and the reason I'm using them is there's a lot of precision in there. So I think I use one random wedge here, and it's just to try to get a better distance. It's a Ben Hogan wedge. But that's pretty much the club setup and the kind of the yardages that I typically like to go for. And I looked not last night, I looked earlier, and I think the course that we planned on playing was whatever was voted. I think what I'm going to do, it was kind of a unanimous number 1, and then there was a number 2. I'm going to go ahead and play 2 courses. I'm going to play the first one that was voted. Let me get to that page so I can type it in here. So, training, societies, let's play now. Let's create a private match between Kelson and I. Do you remember the exact name of the course, Kelson? I need to look it up here. It was Isla. Yes, Isla Nublar Golf Course. I was test playing a couple of these last night. Let's see. Isla. I think I shot 12 under on this course last night. The friend that I was playing with also shot 12 under. He's a pretty decent player as well. 6 under him. Yeah, well, at least you sunk some putts along the way. So let's go ahead and create the private match here. I'm sure everything's gone black for a second. All right, you should be getting the invitation any second. There we go. Confirm. And I'm going to kind of be paying close attention to the, or try to pay close attention to the chat as we go through this. I know one of the questions was kind of about the clubs that I use. If you have any more questions about that, by all means, just say something in the chat. But there was a couple of other topics that have been brought up. I know one of them was pitch shots, and I hear a lot. I don't know what difficulty this is set up on. Let me change it to pro just to make sure. Pro. And y'all have to forgive me. I don't play much pro. I do play in one pro society still. I have some friends who run it, and I hop in there maybe once a week. But I am used to playing Masters clubs, so there'll be full course. That was not my intention. I was going to try to get this one in first and then play the second place one, so thank you for pointing that out. Let me... Oh no, I hit the wrong button. Settings. The front 9. Alright, and one of the things that was discussed was pitch shots. I think you will see me, if the opportunity arises, hit several pitch shots throughout the course of this match. I think I asked you earlier, Kelson, you're a pitch shot person as well, aren't you? Definitely, and that is, I think that's the key to realize, is the swing seems a little bit different, and I would almost go to say is the tempo feels a little bit different. I think I see myself maybe swinging those just a little bit quicker. Maybe that's all in my head.
My name is John. Welcome to the game.
But the thing about the pitch shots, what I like so well about them is, let me see how the tempo is here real quick. Alright, that is very fast and a bad swing. The thing about the pitch shots that I like so well is in the bunker starting off. I think they are precise once you get them down. I would suggest anybody that's struggling with those pitch shots to just go into the driving range, put it on pitch shots, hit 4 or 5 pitch shots, switch back, hit some full shots, and just try to get a feel for the tempo. Because if I'm playing in a worldwide tournament right now, even on master swing, and I've got a 70-yard shot and I need to birdie that hole to win that tournament, I'm probably going to resort to the pitch shot just because that's how confident I feel in it. Because they get on the ball, or they get on the green, they stop, they sit down, they're easy to control, they don't roll out much, especially the ones with your wedges. So for all of you all out there that aren't using pitch shots and you avoid them like the plague, just realize that there is a little bit difference. The swing's a little bit different, and if you can get that under control and figure out the differences between the two, they're definitely beneficial to types of golf shots you would like to play on a regular basis if you can.
This is very, very sandy. Let's get out of here.
I don't think it's the same. I think it is a little bit different. And one of the things I've already noticed, I hit like 3 shots on the driving range as we were getting this all set up really quickly just to get the tempo. And I come in here and my first swing was like fast, terribly fast. and I didn't swing it as fast as I was on the driving range. I've noticed that if you get connected up to players at certain times during the day, the tempo can change. And I'm not the only one that thinks that. I've talked to some of the best players in the world who also feel exactly the same. And that's why you see a lot of people that are playing in important tournaments. I wouldn't suggest doing this with your friends, but you know, if you're about to hit a shot and you're unsure of your tempo, it only takes one quick, maybe 5 seconds to take a little practice swing, pop back out, hit the shot. I know that gets annoying. It can add 4 minutes to your entire round. Maybe don't do it in online play just because people are kind of standing there waiting on you. But if you're playing in a society event and you're struggling with tempo, just pop on real quick, take you a little quick practice swing and hit your shot until you get the hang of it, and then go on about your day. So one thing that I've also noticed with a lot of players is they get in situations like this and they maybe don't know the best way to play the shot, or they try to hold the shot out. And there's several different ways you can play this. As a general rule to me, if I'm on flat ground, I'm going to look at this shot. I'm going to hit a splash shot here. Some people would hit a pitch shot here. It's kind of apples to apples, whatever you want to do. But the general rule of thumb is I put full spin on it if I'm on a flat lie, and I play that about 2 yards past the hole. Here, I've got the upslope, so I'm going to add another extra yard or two, and I'm going to play this approximately 4 feet past the hole, and it'll get relatively close, and you see it kind of spins, and it's an easy up and down. Probably not going to hold that out every time, but if a lot of us, if we could eliminate bogeys off of the scorecard, you would be surprised how much better that's going to improve your game. I know when I first started playing this game, if you're playing and you can grind out and save some pars and keep yourself under par, it's a mental game and it's a game of momentum. It's just like golf in real life. Just try to make the shots. Maybe you're not always going to hole it out, but guarantee yourself a par. And the short game is the most important thing to me when it comes to scoring well, no matter what level of difficulty you're playing.
And finishing this hole out with a solid putt.
So what do you see?
Okay, positive thoughts. Let's save par right here. Nicely played. And you're at even par. That wind is blowing right to left on this hole.
Yes, and that does seem to happen to everybody on this game. I don't know the reasons for it. And again, that's why I encourage, especially if that happens in events that you're playing by yourself, just take a couple of seconds, stop, take you a couple practice swings, see if you can get the feel of that, and then immediately hit your shot. Now, it's a little bit different as I said, I wouldn't suggest doing that and holding up people in live online gameplay, but you do have to be I guess, cognizant of the fact that it does seem like the tempo is definitely going to change as you play this game. So you're not crazy. Oh, that's okay. So what do you typically play as far as like when it comes to wind and things like that? Do you have a certain little quick math in your mind, or you just pretty much go on feel? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Definitely. Oh, yes, absolutely. And I think you pointed out a good thing there, that probably new players hopping on, maybe you're not going to pick up on as quickly. that yes, if you have a downwind shot when it hits the green, it's obviously going to release a little more than if it were not downwind. If you're hitting into the wind, it's going to help the ball set down a little faster. And those are things that you just kind of have to add into your little calculation as you're setting up the shot. Yeah. Yeah, so what I've noticed, and this is we could spend an entire hour talking about wind on this game, and we're not going to do that because I realize a lot of people who are hopping on and playing, they're playing rounds with their friends. They don't want to sit and go through math equations in their mind and try to get all of this wind stuff down. But they want something kind of quick and dirty to go by that'll get you in the ballpark. And I think from what I've realized on my wedges, and when I say wedges, I mean lob wedge, sand wedge, gap wedge, I play those pretty much 1-to-1 with the wind. And that's pretty much for all wind speeds. Now, when I go to my irons, they're a little bit different. I play a 5-mile-per-hour wind, I'm going to play that 1-to-1. But I have noticed that if you're in 10-mile-per-hour winds, go ahead and allow yourself a couple of extra yards. If you're hitting into a 10-mile-per-hour wind, probably add 12 on there. And that's pretty much for all irons. And then when it gets to even higher winds, if you're up playing in very fast winds and it's 15+ miles per hour, instead of playing it 1-to-1, get your normal 1-to-1 and then add you 5 more yards on there. And those are kind of quick, dirty math rules on this game that you can kind of follow, and it'll help navigate the wind.
Ouch.
Oh.
He's got a 4-footer to deal with here.
It is hard to play at talk. Yeah, that's why some of the bigger tournaments that I play in, I still haven't quite started streaming those because I try to be all super focused and I've got all this stuff going through my mind, and I notice when I get on and I play in streams, it's fun to talk to people, but yeah, you never play as well. But it also makes it more enjoyable at the same time, which is good.
And that'll keep you right there at even par. You got a left to right breeze on this hole.
Yeah, definitely.
Nice swing. All right, let's see how he does.
Yeah, I'm going to have a nice foot lie there. Yeah, you would about have to get a little fortunate, I think, to...
Like
if you do get over there in the flat, you're not going to have the best angle into the green. So yeah, we're both going to be dealing with the same thing. Luckily, I'll get to see how much your ball moves.
15 yards to the pin.
I know there was a specific question on the Reddit forum about elevation math, and what I have found out, I typically just, because it's easier mathematically, I play everything 1 yard to 1 yard, so if it's up 3 feet, I'll give it an extra yard. What I have concluded though is like downhill 30 feet. On all the old golf games, that did used to just take 10 yards off your club, and those pretty much worked out. It's not quite that this year, I've found. And actually, if you're down 30 feet or 10 yards, you should probably only take off about 8 yards at the club. It's a little bit shorter this year. So,
for the rough.
Ooh, maybe you'll get a little on the green.
You might need to take an extra club on this one. That green is pretty elevated.
So like right here, for an example, I think I would like to land this probably about 198, about 15 yards short of the hole. So I'm just gonna add somewhere around 205 to that, and then roughly guess that that wind is going to help out about 10 yards because it's at an angle there. So probably put a little D-loft on that, get that up to about 195. This may come up just a little short, but I also have this big foot lie to deal with, as we saw on Kelson's shot there. So let's see if we can get all these things. The problem is you do all this math and then you don't hit it perfect.
This one's got eyes for the rough, I think.
As you can see, that was probably going to be a pretty good distance by the time it ran out, but I did not get the foot lie played, but it's not in a terrible spot. And well, right here is a perfect example of when I would abandon the chip shot, because I started to. I want to chip this in for eagle. I would normally take the 9-yard chip shot out here and I would give it a run at the hole. But one thing that I think we'll play too quickly, and I'm bad for this myself. If you look right past the hole, the designer has been ever so kind to us on this par 5 to slope it from front to back. So anything that gets past the hole on a chip shot has a potential to run all the way off the green. And then I'm here 13 yards away from the flag. I'm thinking that I'm going to get a birdie, and now I've got a chip shot coming back up to the hole, and I ended up making a par on the hole. So instead of trying to make eagle here, I'm just going to take the splash shot, give myself a definite short putt, and there you can see that still wanted to run. That was full spin. Had I hit a chip shot and if it didn't go in and got past the hole, I was definitely going to be off the green there. But if you have a chance to hit a chip from about 15 yards and in, I would always recommend doing it. If the green's flat or if the green's a little bit uphill and you know your distances, yeah, I would always recommend go ahead, throw it on there, chip it, and see if you can run it in, because chipping is a little bit overpowered on this game. You can typically chip one or so in a round.
Seven-foot putt coming up. So far, so good. Oh yeah, that's great stuff.
You'll pitch.
Yeah. He's got 3 feet to go.
Really? Well, yeah, I mean, that's, I use a ton of splash shots, but I used splash shots while I was still playing pro. I just liked them. But I especially use splash shots on Masters because it helps with club gaps and you want to hit everything 100%. But it's kind of apples to oranges a little bit on the splash shot to the pitch shot. It's whichever one you're comfortable with. Really, the only thing you need to do is realize how far. If I'm in the rough, how I play all my splash shots full spin, full loft if I can. And if you're in the rough, the typical math is put it 2 feet past the hole. If you're in the fairway, put it 2 feet short of the hole. And that's kind of how splashes work out. Pitches are similar. You just need to kind of work out in your own mind what works for you and what's best. And
hopefully this one's nice and safe in the fairway. And he's ready to tee off and see what he has.
Exactly, because like right there, I hit a 90% driver. Now, the thing about pro is it's got the little stopper on it, so I can take a full swing and it's going to stop me at worst case scenario like 91%, and then I just hit my shot. If you're playing master swing, it doesn't have that there. You actually have to come back and try to perfectly stop yourself at 91%, and you can still hit it 100, or you can hit it 70. There's a lot more user error to it. So I found myself, on master swing, I want to be swinging 100% whenever possible.
Well, this one could play, and that will play.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's see what he does here. 105 yards out.
Yes, well, it's definitely downhill enough I can see. Yes. And this is, I don't really have any math for this. I just, if I'm on a downhill lie, I'll typically play it, if it's severe, 3 to 4 yards shorter what I would, because yes, it does shoot out. Same thing for an up slope. It's going to take a couple of yards off of it. You just need to be aware that your lie in the fairway definitely is going to affect, as you can see this one. Just kind of wants to really shoot out there. If it's on a red slope extreme, it could even go further than a few yards. It could.
Right by the hole. And he's got around 4 feet to go here. And that putt will drop for par. Just a little 3-footer.
Hopefully this one's inside my range here. Now here's one thing that I would, this is a good instance, is this green. It's always good if you see some weirdness to just hit the R3 button twice and do the worm cam, look at the green. I would recommend that, because the break doesn't look severe, but the hole is obviously definitely crooked. So it's telling me there's some hidden break there. It's not showing me. It wants me to hit it 5 feet. In a situation like this, I just typically always play a couple of extra feet and just make sure I get it firm into the center of the hole. I have missed so many putts starting out playing this game because I just hit it the distance that it wants you to, and it just kind of trickles you in there and you low side lip out or whatever. I would suggest on putts inside of 6 feet, if you don't have a severe downslope that they're going to get away from you, just give an extra couple feet on it and do the Tiger Woods theory and just kind of bury it dead center of the hole and take the break out of it. Exactly.
Nicely done. He's looking ready to roll. Let's see how he does on this hole.
Yes, perfectly said. I have a friend that I play with quite often, and he's a really good player, but whoa, that shot right off of the fairway, didn't it? Yeah. Yeah, that is quite unfortunate. It's a pretty big slope for the fairway, but I had they're just not with you. But he would always play everything just pretty much dying in the hole, which is good for long putts. I would agree with that. But on short putts, he would do the same thing. Even if it was a 3-foot putt, it would just kind of die in towards the hole. And he would miss so many on the low side, just lip them out. And finally, after like a month of playing, I was like, please just add an extra couple of feet to it and just put it in there firm. And now he's a much better. You never see him do that anymore. His scores go a couple strokes lower per round. He doesn't have those silly little lip outs. And I would definitely recommend anybody to do the same.
Pretty sure
I
we're
didn't.
bunker here.
Yes, it appears that you do. And there's really no great situation for this. Unfortunately, you would like to see on a golf course, I think, if you're going to put a tree hanging over the fairway, give someone the option to run it up onto the green. Maybe you can over to the left, but you're not really going to get anywhere close to the hole, unfortunately, due to the tree kind of being out there. So I think the only other option, what I would do here is I'm probably going to put that out on the left side of the green, put a full fade on it. I've got the 14-mile-per-hour wind, and just try and drift it back towards the hole as close as I can. Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's a good thing to do. Definitely, don't compound mistakes. You don't want to smack a tree and come right back down to your feet, and that's really well done there, I think, from the position.
The green side sand, looking for an up and down here.
So once again, right here, everybody can see I'm on a severe upslope in the bunker. I said my general rule, if you're playing a splash shot, and really even I kind of do the same thing for pitch shots, is I'm going to play it full spin, full loft, and I'm going to put it 2 yards past the hole. And I've also got to now take account for the fact that I'm in the bunker on a very big upslope. So I'm probably actually going to play that about 3 or 4 more extra yards there. And I just want to make sure it's up by the hole and don't leave myself an unmakeable putt. And I think we can take care of that one.
Done. Nicely played.
Yes. Yes, I would recommend, if you can chip and you're on the fringe, to just go ahead and chip. Now, maybe if it's a straight in putt or a right edge putt or something like that, I might every now and then, just because it takes the tempo out of the equation. But for the most part, I would say get a good feel on what your chipping is, and if you're off of the green, take advantage of that and chip that ball in that situation, because the putting off of the fringe is a little bit broken in the game this year. Because if you pay attention, if we're playing 163 greens, the fringe will say 109 when you're on the fringe, for instance, and it's going to give you the putt, and the distance is all weird, and it's going to hit the green, and it's going to travel way farther than you thought it was. I hope that's something they address next year, but I haven't really even bothered too much about it, because I'm like you. I'm just going to, if I have the option to chip the ball and I'm not on the green, then I'm going to chip the ball. So it looks like we have a very interesting hole here. Oh, yes, yes, I would too. I would too.
You lost it in the canopy?
Oh, I hit that one slow. And that's going to be terrible.
It's all good.
I think I hit a tree along the way too. I should have hit the layup shot over there, but it's kind of hard to make yourself want to lay up on a 293-yard hole with an 8-iron.
Looking good off the tee.
Yeah, that's a beautiful shot.
Well, this is in the inner sanctum of the rough here. This is deep down.
But this will be a good opportunity to kind of discuss the rough percentages. I'm sure a lot of people who play the game kind of have a good feel for that, but some of you may, yeah, some of you may not. So I'm not going to go in and give you some big enormous math equation on how to do this, but you can see right here I've got a 9 iron. I've got probably wanting to land this somewhere around 122 yards, and say 120 because it's down 7. But I'm in the heavy rough, a 72% lie. So right there, I'm just going to say, well, I need to add 30% to this if it were a 100-yard shot. I've also got an additional 20 yards there, so I probably need to add a few more than that. That's kind of the quick math that I'm going to do. Say 72, that means I need to add 30 yards, and I'm probably going to add 35, so I would say probably 145, but the wind's helping a little bit, so I'm going to play it around 140 and see how far off we are. But there is a,
Oh no, it's
and we're off terribly. Unfortunately, the wind just kind of flattened that one out as it goes. But you can see there, we wouldn't have been very far off from the intended distance we wanted to play. But unfortunately, since it said 72, it also ranges down to 65. It looks like I might have got the 65, which probably made the 7 or 8 yards distance. But you never know how that's going to work out. You can kind of average it out and take it in the middle of that if you wanted to and say, okay, well, if it's 65 to 72, I'm going to add 35 yards. If I would have added 35 yards, it would have worked out that time. There's another chance that it might have flew the green. You just never know. But pitch shot. All right, let's see if I can at least salvage a bogey here. So as normal, I'm going to put some spin, some loft on it. I'm on the fairway. I'm going to hit this one about 3 yards short of the hole, and then I short stroked it because I'm playing pro and I'm not used to taking those partial swings. So once again, we can't talk about how good of a distance that could have been.
Looking super. I blame the ball. That was a good putt overall. Just didn't really drop when he needed it to. And this next putt for him is for birdie.
Yeah, it was a good distance. Oh, man.
And here he goes, putting for par here. And that putt will...
You know, the funny thing about this is I've now played, I think, 14 tournaments on the TGC Tours now, which obviously, as we said, was a master swing. And those are 72-hole events, so whatever that is, times 13, that's how many holes I've played. And I've not made a double bogey on there yet. And here we are on our game improvement stream, and I plop one in the water and make a double bogey on the pro swing. It is a fickle game, yes. Hey Stroker, how you doing? Good to see you hop into the chat. This is there's an event coming up in for the Jackwagon Society. It's another Discord I'm a part of, and they're doing a Pro-Am tournament, and
great contact.
Stroker is going to be my partner in that tournament. So that's coming up in February. Looking forward to getting to play with him in that. I think we're going to do pretty well. Mm-hmm. It is, yep. Yeah, that sounds like a pretty decent distance. And again, what I would imagine Kelson is probably doing there, and he's probably first taking some distance off for the shot due to the fact that it's downhill. Just ran on through the green, didn't it?
And getting a nice view from this elevated position.
And then once you get the distance you think you need to take off, obviously you'll need to add some back on for the wind. So don't look at it and think you have to try to do all of it in one. I typically do it step by step. I'm gonna think, okay, well, I would like to land this around 166, so I'm gonna take probably about 6 yards off for the down 22, and that's a 12 mile per hour wind, so I'm probably going to put about 13 yards back onto that, and somewhere around 173, 174 is where I'll hit it. Unfortunately, these greens are sloped back to front, so it's untelling where this one may stop rolling, but we do hit it perfect, and the wind is pretty much dropping it exactly where I said I wanted to hit it, and it's just gonna trickle on out a little bit.
It was a good one.
Yeah, but I wouldn't want it to play that any shorter. Definitely, my splashes kind of go 15, 19, 25, so in this scenario I would just use my 19-yard splash shot. Since it's uphill, I would just hit it pretty stock and it should land right around hole high. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. If you, it definitely, that's a good point. The stroker said he just shot 8 under on the next CC course, getting acquainted with the course. So you're doing some practice for next week, I see, Stroker. That's good. 8 under is a solid score on that. Well played. That's on Masters difficulty too, so.
You could go to 2 under with this putt right here.
Too much break. We may eventually make a birdie tonight. It feels like it's been a long time, but I need to look at the looks like Wasel River was the second place course. When we get done with these 9, we'll hop over to it. That was a little bit easier of a course.
All right, par putt. And that will do.
I did play 9 holes of it last
night. Stay right there at 1 under.
Full 18. Yeah, I played full 18 of this one. I think the back nine, if I remember right. I think I struggled a little bit on the front nine on this one, and was able to make up some strokes on the back nine of this one. And I only got the front nine of the second course we'll play in. So.
Here we go. Let's pop this in the fairway.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, drive's looking decent here.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point. You're like right there. Obviously, the miss would be fast because slows over a cliff out of bounds. So I think that's an excellent time to kind of point that out. Yeah, you have to be. Even me, when I'm playing really well in a tournament, it doesn't mean that I'm hitting every single shot just perfect tempo every single time. I'm just like everybody. I'm going to hit some fast and I'm going to hit some slow accidentally. But if you know out of bounds is to the right, or if there's a lot of trouble to the right, make sure that you don't miss it slow. Just like Kelson said, let your miss be fast. And if the worst case scenario is you're in the left rough, that's a lot better than being back on the tee box because you slowed one out of bounds. So let's see if we can walk through a little bit more of the mathematics on a shot like this on what I would do. Just kind of simple again. I'm kind of wanting that to land for an 8-iron, probably 3 yards short of that because it's a little bit of upslope. It's into the wind, so that's going to stop it. I'm going to give it a couple of extra yards just because of the elevation, and now I've got a 14 mile per hour wind to deal with. So I'm going to probably want to play that somewhere around 61. Now I can try to de-loft this to 61, and that's probably what I'll do here. And I always just add a touch of spin to every shot just because I like things to kind of settle down and not run too far. But we'll see how this one goes. It is perfect. And as you can see, that's
there we go. Nice little approach shot.
Not too bad.
And he's got a 12-foot putt in front of him here.
How did you finish on the CC tournament stroker this week? I haven't had a chance to go in and look at anybody's scores on anything. Did you play pretty well?
And that one will go for birdie.
Nice birdie there. One thing I would also recommend, I don't know, I normally have this setting always turned on. I don't know how you putt, Gelson. I take the flag stick out on every putt because I swear since the last update, there have been times where I've hit a putt that hit dead center of the hole, maybe moving just a little bit of pace, and it got some like weird rattle right back out. And I don't have that happen when the flag sticks out. So if you're ever a person who's ever had that happen to you, I would suggest just take the flag stick out. I think they're supposed to be fixing that. Mm-hmm. That's a pretty good, yeah. It's hard unless you just want to go spend an outrageous amount of time on practice ranges and building your own little golf course and work on shots like this. They don't come up that often enough that I'm kind of in the same boat. I'm going to apply my general math and just hope that it's somewhere in the ballpark.
4-iron.
This looks to be a pretty good distance, though. That was well done as far as you got the distance right on that, for sure.
Let's see what you do off the tee here.
So I'm probably just gonna take a guess here. I don't face it. You don't find many courses on the societies that I play that have that elevation drop just like this. So this is a unique shot for me. Not that I mind it, but I would say probably just walking through this out loud, because I go through this in my head on every shot, I'm going to think I probably need to take that back to somewhere around 150 because of the elevation, and then I'm going to probably need to at least put 17 into a 17. I would take my typical 17, add 5, and then I'm probably even going to add some more because it's going way downhill, which means the wind's going to hit it a whole lot more. So I'm probably going to put like 25, and I'm just going to throw somewhere around 175 and see if I can get fortunate here as well. It may be way off. I at least do hit it perfect, and that's not terrible. Looks like I could add a couple more yards there.
3 under par if you sink this.
I aimed it right on the right edge of the green. Unfortunately, I pulled, my line is not perfect tonight, and I pulled it back a little bit left, which pulled the shot. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's probably, I actually played a little bit of D-loft on mine just to get it to the yardage I needed, so that's probably why mine cut through the wind just a little bit better. But
Okay,
it's a hard hole to
down.
make a nice birdie. At least the
Here.
green's nice and flat.
What do you think? Is he gonna make this? It's kind of
You
low.
shot 9 under for the tournament stroker. Well, that's not the end of the world though. You'll bounce back strong this next week. Is your putt pretty flat too? Yeah.
Ooh, close.
You had the right line. Yeah. Well, 2 under and a 3 under. Yeah, not the best scores maybe you'll ever see on this course, but
Well,
we were
that's
at least able
just
to
about it
have
for
some good
weekends
conversation and stay under
today.
par.
You had a decent amount of fun. Scratch that. Hopefully you had a whole lot of fun. I hope that. Thanks again. See you soon.
Yeah, that is true. The winds were quite high. I thought I played at default last night and the winds didn't seem to be that high, but they were for that round. You did hit more fairways, yeah. Just the putts per hole were the only thing that seemed to make the difference. So the other course, Wise Old River. Let's see if I can find that one really quick. Yes, that is a good point. Where it will not pull up. Yeah, I enjoyed the course, the 9 holes that I played. Let's put it on. We'll go pin 2s, a nice balance there. We'll take nice, easy conditions here, fast, firm, and set it on pro once again. And do I have the right length? We'll go with the front 9 once again. Well, no, that's fine, and it's fine to talk through that because I mean the fact of the matter is the majority of people that play this game probably do play pro. You have a certain amount of people that are obviously playing on all the TGC tours and stuff like that. They're all playing Masters, but your casual guy or girl getting on the game, all of your online stuff's on pro. A lot of your most popular societies are on pro. So yeah, if we're gonna kind of talk through all this stuff, then might as well play on pro, because there is a little bit of difference in the way you can play shots on pro versus masters. So it doesn't hurt to play it on it. A little bit. Is it allergies or?
Hello there, my name is John. Happy you came around today. I was looking for something to do, and it's right
Oh,
in
for
front of us.
sure.
We have a par 4 first
Yeah.
hole. Let's do this.
Yep.
Ooh, looks like we're going to the fairway.
Yeah, no, that's understandable, Stroker. I definitely think you'll play better
Already
this
he's
week.
Good to go on this one.
You
Let's see how he does.
said you've been working on all that stuff. If you shot 9 under on the practice course, I think you'll have a good showing this week on the TGCs. A little bit to the right. Stay on that cart. Yeah, it's only in the light rough over here, so it's not too bad.
Oh yeah, this one's heading for the green.
It's a good looking shot.
And second shot here on the first.
And here is kind of the perfect example of when I would hit a pitch shot, especially on pro. I'm 65 yards away. I'm just going to apply a little bit of spin, a little bit of loft. That's what I pretty much do on every pitch shot. Now, as Kelson and I were talking about earlier, I mean, you can look at it. It comes back slow, and then it seems to like go up really fast, and that kind of freaks me out when it first starts happening. But if you can just kind of hold on and get that tempo, and then even if you have to take maybe one little quick practice swing, you can realize it's a little finicky at times. But you can see right there is an absolute perfect. I like the tempo of it, and it's got a real chance to go in and just comes up a little short. But that's why I like pitch shots so well. If you can learn the tempo on them, you can do that right there. I did too. I did too. Yeah, I didn't like pitch shots when the game first came out because it's a different swing, and it's got a little bit different timing to it, and I was terrible to hit them short. I wouldn't pull it back far enough because it seemed to take a little longer to get to the top, or then when it all of a sudden looped up real quick, I'd flip out and hit it fast or slow or something. But if you can casually just kind of get the tempo of a pitch shot down, especially from inside 70 yards, I would really recommend just going to the range, doing whatever you need to do to kind of get that as a weapon in the bag, because it can definitely lower your rounds no matter what level you're playing on.
Par today, just a fantastic start here.
Mm-hmm.
Good luck on this par 3 hole.
Yeah. And one thing I would also like really encourage people to do, especially if you're playing pro and you have the ball flight tracer, is don't be afraid if you have to hit a draw or you have to hit a fade. If the fairway's sloping left to right, put some draw on it and make sure it holds in the fairway. It's really not going to affect your shot at all. If you're trying to get the ball to a weird hole location and you need to put a little bit of fade because there's some wind, just practice those things a little bit. You don't have to hit every single shot straight. It's a very easy thing to do. But I would always encourage people to kind of have those options in the bag, because when I play pro especially, I hit a lot of curvature on the ball because you can put it on there and it really does. It makes your perfect meter a tad smaller, I get that, but it's not that noticeable.
Going towards that hole.
Oh no, I just don't have the putting down yet tonight. That's one thing that I would say my weakest point on this game is I can get pretty good with hitting the ball close to the hole, but sometimes my putting is let me down from time to time. And then other nights it's on point and it seems like everything falls in, but those seem to come far few.
Okay, we're moving to the next.
Okay, 1 under for the round.
Yeah, that's kind of me in this game as well. Some people, I've got some friends who can putt really well, and they just seem to be on all the time, but I've not quite gotten there yet. Oh, that one looks to be well hit.
Shot should work.
Yeah, I agree with Stroker here. The pitching on Tiger was, I don't think, as good as or as deadly as you can be on this game. I think it's more of an advantage on this game to do it.
Oh, you hit the
all right, so there's a nice drive right behind you. Right, yeah, we're now right in front of you, I guess.
He's got about 210 left to the pin.
Stroker said me and him have a similar targeting system for putts. So, Stroker, when you putt, do you kind of bring your meter back to the hole, adjust it, and then move it back out? That's what I've found to work best for me, because that's the way golf games for my whole lifetime had been built. It started at the hole, I would line it up, and then I would add my distance. Oh, man, I thought that was going to be really good.
Okay, about 200 yards or so to the pin from here.
Gonna have trouble getting that one close to the hole anyway.
He is in the beach. Let's see how he gets out of this one.
You always hit a pitch. Yeah. I mean, it's just I wouldn't discourage either one. Whichever one somebody's more comfortable with, the outcomes and the distances and stuff, they're pretty similar. It's just but I don't ever hit a splash shot hardly that's not full spun, full loft. Kind of reacts a little bit more like a pitch would. But yeah, I mean, as you can see with the result there, you can't argue with that.
This one's your third.
So right here is definitely an example of where I would just go ahead and hit the chip shot. It's uphill. I'm just. Yeah. No, I would have too for a long time, but I keep watching players play and watch them chip these in all the time and realizing I'm losing so many shots to the field that I'm just going to go ahead and chip that one and try to hole it out. Thank you.
No, that was better than I would have done.
He's got about a 3-footer here. And a nice putt there.
3 under for the round.
Teeing up on the 4th hole now.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty good.
Yeah, that's I definitely agree with that. There are times that I will play, especially if it's a par 5 or a drivable par 4 that's really hard to get the ball on the green. Sometimes I'll just play for the bunker because I feel comfortable that I can hit my splash shot or pitch shot or whatever the preferred method and get it really close to the hole and just tap it in.
And from here, he's looking at about 180 yards to the pin.
That is true. Yeah, putting yourself in the right position. A well-designed course is more than just hitting the fairway sometimes. I got to test play somebody's course the other night, and it was one of the better designed courses I've played in a while because I found myself, I should be doing that more often. Sometimes I get complacent when I play on Pro Swing, but use your course map. It's there for a good reason. Just like Kelson said, give yourself the best line to the hole, because sometimes the flag might be over tucked left and just like you're about to see here, I could have had a better angle. Oh, this is slow, really slow. Yeah, that was bad tempo there.
This next putt is for your birdie. Quite get there, did it?
And you can't expect to make putts like that more than 1 or 2% of the time. So the most important thing to me is just make sure, once again, you don't 3-putt it. Yeah. Yeah, they can be. I think it sometimes, to me, it seems to vary a little bit based on what green speed you're playing with. But I typically on those long putts add about an extra foot or two on it, and because I've noticed to me they seem to come up short more than they seem to go long if I hit it exactly in the watt meter, but everybody may have a different opinion on how that really reacts. I've heard varying things, but a lot of it depends on where you're typically. I typically hit right at the front of the watt meter. Some people are going to hit at the back of the watt meter. That will affect the distance that it goes a little bit as well. So you kind of got to be mindful of how you typically play your putts, I think.
All right, we've got a par 4 on this one.
Yeah.
And he's ready to go. Let's see how this hole goes for him.
Yeah.
This one looks pretty good. Should be in the fairway.
Yeah, Stroker, that the way you line up your putts, the way you just described it, that does sound similar to the way that I do it in a lot of ways.
Yards to the pin or somewhere thereabouts.
This is a long par 4 here.
And here's a look at their hybrid. Here's our second shot on the 5th.
And another thing I would suggest, especially on longer shots like this, like I feel like I want to play this short of the green, just pull your L stick down and you can kind of look flatter at the ground, and you'll know what you're landing on a little better, whether you're landing on an upslope, a downslope, because it's obviously going to affect. Thank you.
Hey, I'm liking this. You're hitting lots of greens, it seems.
And I do think probably you'll just post them to YouTube, but I'm going to try to play a few rounds of a society that I'm in, and I typically can score pretty well in there on the pro sweat settings when I'm really focused, and just kind of walk through and show people how it is definitely possible for people to score really low scores on this game, because that's one thing that I've noticed. I even saw that on one of the forums today, somebody asking, hey, are these scores really possible without cheating? And yes, a lot of really low scores that you see in societies, they are possible for people to shoot by playing completely legitimate. Now the problem with those people is, like me, they just spend way too much time trying to get good at the game. But just because people are shooting really low scores, it doesn't mean they're cheating. You just use it as motivation to get better at the game if that's what you're wanting to do. But
great swing on that one. Nice. That was the club. Okay, he appears to be ready to roll on this one. Let's see how this tee shot goes.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, it just depends on, if things get rolling for you, you can get them going. Stroker said his best pro round was 16 under. I have shot in I think one of our societies. Now it's dependent upon the course. You also have to take that into consideration too, obviously. But I played a course, and I think the best round I shot was 23 under par. But it was because the course had a couple of drivable par fours. I think I eagled a couple of those, and then I pretty much birdied every hole and eagled every par five. I think and that was the best round that I ever scored. But I mean, as you can see, I'm not playing the best right now, so my score is probably not indicative of shooting 23 under. But I'll come on here and I'll play around sometime and at least post it on YouTube for people to see. And you can watch somebody shoot well below 18 under on a pro setting course, and you'll watch my swing line is not completely straight all the time. It's a little wonky. My tempo will not always be perfect. It's just really concentrating on the math of the game if you want to get that deep into it. Now, I'm not saying that maybe somewhere out there someone's not found a way to cheat at the game. I don't know. But from what I've seen, people just do a lot of practice and get good at the game. There definitely is that ability.
Short par 5 here. Do you think you can get on in 2? Possibly eagle this bad boy?
Yes, exactly. That is very true statement.
This one's looking okay off the tee. All right, let's see how he does here on this hole.
Yep. You keep that in play. Yep.
This one's heading to the fairway, I think. Okay, here's our second shot here on the 7th hole.
I don't know if this is going to get there, but I'm going to try the fully lofted, fully spun driver.
I'll take it.
I would suggest if you ever hit the driver off of the deck, for anybody watching, it seems to go much better if you use full spin and full loft. It does make the meter a little harder to hit at the top, but it gets the ball way up in the air more and it goes farther, and that's especially if you're having to carry something. Now, that wouldn't have came close to carrying if I would have hit driver there, if I didn't add the loft and full spin to it. That's not a bad idea either. Once again, keep a good score in play.
Setting up here, green side rough.
Don't think there's any chance that I chip this in. It's well below my feet, but I'm going to try. Oh, there we go. And that right there is a perfect example. A perfect example of how you can potentially get really low scores. You have to have a few things like that happen throughout the course of a round. Most of the time when somebody shoots 20 under par through 18 holes, it's not because they hit every single shot perfectly right by the flagstick. All aspects of the chipping, the putting, it was all kind of working for them. And
that one goes
chances for
And it
birdie.
takes quite a bit of concentration to do that. If you're playing a casual round, it's
All right,
probably
pop a
not
nice
going to
one out
happen.
into the fairway on
If
this
you're
one.
someone who likes to drink a little bit of the evenings, it's probably not going to happen either. I think here's a case on the drivable par 4
Ooh, you hooked this one.
where, oh, I fasted this one. I'm just going to play for the bunker up here and trust that I can get it up and down. I
He's
didn't want to
ready
fast it way
Let her
offline
rip.
there
Let's see how
though,
this hole
but
goes.
if I could have just hit that straight at the hole, it would have been a nice little easy up and down. Now I've added quite a bit of yardage to the shot, but I still think I'll be okay there.
Well, let's see how he gets out of this one.
Yeah. I have a terrible downhill lie, yes. If I would have hit that straight, I think I would have been right in the upslope of the bunker, which I would have liked to be, but Stroker says, yeah, he No, I would, yeah, I think the splash shot, in my opinion, has a little bit, it can have a little bit more spin on it. It's weird. The pitch shot does seem to do a little bit more releasing. So I get your point there.
Okay, and from the green
Stroker
side
backs
bunker,
me up and
let's,
says, yeah, it's almost
nestle
impossible to
this one
shoot
in
20
nice and
under if
close.
you're not sober. No, I have a friend that I play with, and he likes to drink a little bit of the evening, and I can see. Yeah, I can see. There's a certain time where he'll play pretty well. It doesn't matter, but then there's a certain point of the night where I can tell he's had his fair share. Oh, there's a bad example of that was really.
You've got quite
That was on a
distance
down
left,
slope.
to
I
the
didn't want
ball.
to leave it
But
short
you know what?
and
You got out of that bunker.
put myself in
Happy
a
with that.
bad place.
Careful
Now I've got
with
a
this
crazy
one.
putt.
This is from way out.
51.
Oh, that could have been a birdie.
Let's check this out. He's got a long putt. What's going to go down?
Yeah, yeah. That no, there is logic to that. I think that answer is kind of a twofold answer. I think if you're someone who just wants to play the game casually, hop on once a week or something like that and enjoy it, then yeah, maybe you're better off to get the shorter, more forgiving clubs and then just try to enjoy the game more. If you are somebody that is trying to get better, I almost kind of go with the theory of just go ahead and use maybe the harder driver, and you, in my opinion, will kind of hone in more on how to hit that more perfect. I know when I got on, I struggled because I didn't play. I took a several years break from playing golf games, and I had been good at some previous ones, but I struggled on pro hitting the tempo on that driver. But I just stuck with it and kept practicing with that, and I think the small meter on it actually made me better at hitting the perfects. But at the same time, that's not going to be for everybody. So I think you have to figure out what kind of, how much time you're wanting to put into the game, how good are you wanting to get at the game. If you are somebody that eventually wants to compete in some of these societies and get really good, I would just suggest just jump to the harder driver. But at the same time, don't think that you have to have the longest club of everything in your bag, because you have to look at when do you need to be precise on the golf course. Sure, you need to hit the fairway, but you can hit a fairway if you just know your misses with a slow or a fast accidentally, if you just kind of you're mindful of what you normally do. You score obviously by hitting shots close to the hole, and that's where I think it's more important to have that bigger tempo meter and be a little more precise, if that makes sense. So I kind of didn't answer your question very well at all there, but
There you go. That's what you want.
Looks like he's got around 8 feet to the cup.
mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, no, that makes sense. And it also depends on what kind of courses you're typically playing as well. I know on a lot of the platinum level courses that we have to play, a lot of them are pretty lengthy. So don't always run into that problem. But it's kind of one of those things. It just depends on. Oh no, that was a terrible way to end. It depends on your personality. It depends on.
Let's sink this
I mean, I would definitely agree with you. You're better off score wise to start out with a more forgiving driver, and that might not be a bad idea, but I just know from my standpoint on when I was able to play the last EA golf game that was out, and Rory McIlroy, and I got on the tour mode the #1 ranked player in the world on that game. I got there because I played for years on the hardest settings possible on all of the Tiger games, and with everything, wind, everything. I played the hardest possible settings, and I think personally for myself, that made me a better player. Now, just because that's what made me a better player doesn't mean that it's going to work for everyone. So if you're somebody that you feel confident that you can get the tempo figured out, I would just suggest stick with the longer driver and see if you can work that out. If you're struggling with your game, it's making you hate the game, you're losing confidence, then absolutely, yeah, shorter driver, go in there, just hit some fairways. I think it just depends on the individual, really. Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 So I could see it either way. Stroker just said in the chat that he felt like to improve his pro swing, he kind of started playing Masters, and I was the same way. My pro string, I was struggling on it, and I started playing some on Masters. And for me, I guess the more precision that requires, when I finally on practice ranges and beat my head against the wall, felt like I figured it out how to swing on Masters. When I made the transition back to pro, as far as tempo goes, it was a very easy thing for me. And I think one thing, I didn't play the best tonight, but if you go back and you watch, I've hit a lot of perfect tempo swings, and I'll even do that on Masters. I didn't score the best, but I do think for myself, going up a higher difficulty and coming back down did help me. That's not going to work for everyone though, so it's you just kind of. Mm-hmm. Definitely. No, I agree with you there. And I wouldn't start out. I wouldn't necessarily even suggest starting. I didn't start out on Masters. When I hopped onto the game, I would see that more as a refinement type thing for your game if you do want to go that route. I started out on the semi-pro and pro swings, and once I kind of got the hang of semi-pro well, I started playing more pro. And this was over a course of probably a few days of playing the game. And then I got better at pro, and then I hopped up and I started trying out some of the master swing, and then I went back and played pro for some more because I thought, oh, that's way too hard. And after a couple weeks of getting into the game and feeling like I'd learned the tempo a little bit more, and I felt confident on pro, I went ahead and hopped on and started trying out some master swings. And it will, outside of the little bit of nuances and differences, that there are things you can do in pro that you can't do in masters as far as shots and distances and stuff. I'll kind of have to come in and refine that when I play a pro tournament. But the tempo is not an issue for me for the most part on pro, where I'm used to swinging on masters and having to be very exact with it. So it's just kind of one of those things. Standard Masters, I think, does have a swing meter by default, but on TGC tours and pretty much any tournament that you play on, they take that swing meter off. It's all based off of, yeah. Definitely, yeah. Yeah, Yeah, definitely. Yeah, at the end of the day, exactly. It's a game. It's a game of progression, that's for sure. And I just hopped in here to the Money Tour Society, for instance. The TGC one, I think I'm in like 10th place. I didn't have that great of a week, but you can see the Money Tours. It's some of the best players in the world play on this tour, and I started out, I practiced a lot at this game, and I'm more than willing to anybody that is seriously would just like to improve or like to get really good at the game. I'm more than willing to play with you and share every bit of knowledge that I could show. And you can see here, there I am, Cody Vols 2331. Don't know if this has still got 3 or 4 days left, but as of right now, I'm leading the tournament against some of the best players in the world. You see Schloner TW right there. He is the best player in the world right now. I rarely ever beat him, but I had a decent tournament, and it just showed. I'm just coming in to show the progression that you can make on this game if you want to put the time and the effort into it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Definitely. I think that would be a great idea. Yeah, I think originally in the first post that I kind of posted about this, I said I was hoping in the future to maybe get somebody on who had some questions and let them play around through me, and just a real laid back environment. You know, no pressure whatsoever. We'll just get on, laugh, talk, have fun. And if you're someone who's struggling to break par on pro, or you're hovering right there just a shot or two under par, and we can kind of go through the round, and I can kind of look and see, hey, well, you know, here maybe let's try to not make this miss on the golf course, or when you're around the green you're losing shots here, and here, maybe try this type of shot and see if we can, because I mean, it's a video game. The better people are, the more they're going to want to play it and the more they're going to enjoy it. So if you're Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah. I totally believe that. Yes, I think there's a lot of people that play the game right now that could be a lot better at the game, just if they had a few questions answered. Because yeah, some people, they don't realize elevations and slopes and foot lies and how to maybe properly play a shot in a certain situation, and they hit it onto the green and it looks like it's going to be good and it runs 20 feet by, when if they would have just played a pitch shot or a splash shot with some spin on it, they could get very consistent. So yeah, I absolutely believe just a lot of people out there with a little bit of questions and a little bit of instructions on a few things they don't know could drastically improve their game. So yeah, I'd love to get somebody in here. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Definitely. No, I totally agree. That'd be something great to do. Yeah, no, that would be a good one to have. Yeah, yeah, it would be. Yeah, we. Yeah, no, no, that would be very fun to do. And I mean, at the end of it all, I would really like to do this just mainly because there's a lot of people. I love golf games. I always have loved golf games, and the community in a golf game to me seems to be one of the best communities that there are. I don't know the reasoning for that, just the type of people that are involved in the game. I've met a lot of really good people playing these games. There's been other sports games I've met good people in, but it seems less frequent than golf series games for some reason. And yeah. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree with that. And I just want people to enjoy it as much as they can and want to play it as much as they can. And part of that's getting better. I'm not the best player out there. I don't know if I ever will be. I hope to get back to the level or close to it someday. But I am somebody that can be a good resource for anybody that does have some questions. I don't claim to know everything, but if I don't know the answer, I'll definitely do my best to work through it with you and try to get an answer to you. But exactly. For sure, for sure. That's what I'm the same way. I'm a very accessible person. I'm not going to get mad at you if you have a question and you want to ask me. So I'm the same way. But well, I really. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Well, I really, yeah, it was. I'm really glad you hopped on, and hopefully here in another week or so we can get some feedback and get another one going, and maybe get somebody from, like you said, from the Reddit page to hop on and play around and see how it goes. For sure, absolutely. Yeah, all the time I do. Yep, definitely. I definitely will do. And if anybody just ask, you can. I'll post this. I'll post this to YouTube just so it'll be accessible. I may not be as apt to see a question there, so if you have one, just put it in the original pinned Reddit post, and I'll do my best to either get back with you to an answer or a video to explain it or anything I can do. Well, I really appreciate it, Kelson. I will. Yeah, I will. Yep. All right. Well, thanks again, Kelson. You have a good evening, and I will talk to you all later.